Wivelsfield. What day is it? It's the 3rd of May. Oh, you can't see Wivelsfield very clearly. Wivelsfield, 3rd of May, 2012, and I'd like to talk about inclusivity and group process work is the theme of this.
59 First Capital Connect service to Brighton.
I'll go elsewhere, hang on a second.
Burgess Hill, Hassocks, Preston Park and Brighton.
So inclusivity and group process work. How to run a group session, and what I think I'm learning today, having tried running a group session for a while. First, it's important that people have a sense of what the group session is about, how long it's going to take, and that they feel they've had a choice in buying into it, because some people came along for one thing and got something else. But then, of course, that's exactly what I was there to do, to give people something that they hadn't seen before or thought about before, which was the role of social media in promoting their particular interest. So, we're at Wivelsfield, and what my learning is that I thought the best way to get the session going was to pick up on the previous dialogue and find a question that related to the previous dialogue, and go round with a ball asking, well, this agreement has been made by you, what are the good things about this agreement? And the agreement was to have a Facebook group. What are your concerns about having a Facebook group? And so the ball circulated to address the concerns. And at the end, the third thing is, what does it take? What are the next steps that are needed to address the concerns and make things happen how we'd all like them to happen, or most of us would like them to happen? That's a moot point, whether it needs to be all or most. So before the ball had gone round 3 times, I was hearing a voice, and interestingly it wasn't a voice from near me but further away, saying, I didn't come here to talk about Facebook. So, and it's not a breach of confidentiality, I hope, for this session, but if it is, apologies, and let's talk about what I can do to make amends for that breach of confidentiality if you're the person who's concerned. So, I think that handing a ball round to transfer the power of who's speaking away from me to the rest of the group is not sufficient. My proposal now is to give everyone a card, Stop I'm in Too Much Pain card, which they can hold up whenever they want to, if they're really not satisfied with the session. I'd like to see how that goes, because I suspect that will be one way of preventing tears and other outbursts. Just as there is something called the terrorist line, which is written excellently about in the book Inside the Know by Myrna Lewis, Myrna-Lewis, a book with no ISBN number that's only available from South Africa or from freelander.org. Lender, not lander, freelander.org. That book is well worth the trouble it will take to get hold of it, but it won't cost you anything to get hold of it, perhaps postage, but I hope we can avoid a way of doing postage through our Facebook friends. Anyhow, I digress. In Myrna Lewis's Inside the Know, it explains how we get terrorists, how the forms of dissent increase, from sarky comments or other put-down humour, through to people setting bombs off because their view hasn't been properly heard and taken account of. So, and I'm not excusing terrorism, I'm just a really interesting analysis of how it happens. And similarly, I believe I've used a provocative phrase before, that meetings have an autocracy of tears. If someone cries, then meetings come to a stop and take that attention. So just like there's a terrorist line, I think there's an upset line as well. And rather than get to the point whereby people are in tears of pain, I would like people to have the option to voice clearly just by holding up a card, Stop I'm in Pain, during a group process meeting. Now, I'd like your feedback on whether that would, in combination with the ball going round, transfer power and produce a more effective meeting, particularly when there's only half an hour to cover ground that is likely to take people well outside of their comfort zone and put a lot of challenges out there. as I was putting, about the economy and what we're facing, about the way in which the people in the room were key to make change, and the way in which their use of YouTube as a medium more likely in 3 to 5 years to be seen by your average member of the public than the 10 o'clock news that night. You know, whether that would be what they wanted to engage in. And because people were outside of their comfort zone, my theory, and found my group dynamic process off-putting, I was condemned by individuals, I use a strong word there, dismissed, marginalised, despite the fact that the building in which we were in and the project in which we were in has a working ethos of inclusivity. So I'm intrigued by marginalisation, inclusivity and group process, and how people make a judgment about how someone is based on seeing them in a group, leading a session. They presume how they're going to be with an individual in the future. So I'm fearing that I'm not going to get so much work in social media promotion in the future because of the way in which I led that session. And I challenge whoever says that to try and convey as much information about social media and its possibilities and challenges in the same period of time to another group with the same low level of clarification as to what was going to happen in that session prior to the group. So, in summary, clarify what's happening in advance of the meeting, get people's buy-in in advance of the meeting, or find enough time to get their buy-in later to the fact that it was recorded, for example, and break away from group meetings to one-to-one sessions if people are in pain in order to really hear that pain. Have other people on hand who can assist with that and bring that back and articulate it clearly to the group. That would be good, to have an assistant who will help the person who holds up the card saying, I'm in too much pain, and bring that back to the group. It's really helpful to blog, it's really helpful to record on YouTube, because expressing what's happened, what my concerns about it are, help me think about the solution. I sometimes don't need another person. I phoned a friend as soon as I got out of that meeting to get some support, but actually the friend that's helping me the most is this YouTube camera, because it's prompting me to be accountable to everyone I send this film out to, and that's the whole world. Not only accountable to the whole world, and anyone can add a comment on this, but I'm also, simply, if it doesn't go on YouTube, accountable to the camera. When I say accountable to the camera is an aid to my getting my need for accountability met, because I'm challenging myself to express what the problem issue was and to come up with a solution. And thank you for your time in watching me go through that process after doing a training event. I hope your working day has been easier than mine and more satisfying in what it has produced, and that you've learned something about group process and getting buy-in from either your day or from here. Whatever you've learned, be it from your day or from here, please add it to the comments below the video. Thank you for your time. You have been watching Toothpaste 007. If you want to get the overview of what the hell I'm about, then you go to additionalinfo.blogspot.co.uk. Nothing to do with Withlesfield there. Hastings and St Leonard's. Jai Bim.